you, Bandana. Thank you, Kai, for calling me in for this. Um, I wasn't so clear on the format, so I I actually prepared something. I'm going to have to read off my phone, but I can assure you the words are from the heart. So let me just get myself set up here. So something quite special happened recently. Um, the hard work and dedication of our team of young Indonesian agriculturalists was rewarded with an invitation to go to Stockholm, Sweden, which is where I was 13 days ago, presenting this speech to the jury of the Food Planet Prize. Was quite unexpected. We were one of 6 finalists out of a field of about 1,000 applicants worldwide. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Um, I'm not a guy that generally tells stories, especially about myself, so just bear with me. Thank you. Um, what I'd like to do is just share the speech that I gave to the jury 13 days ago, and it goes a little something like this. So I've just returned from my hometown of Calgary, Canada, where I was visiting my mom. She's a 92-year-old environmentalist. Her dad, my grandpa, was a first-generation modern farmer who sprayed DDT on his crops. Around the time I was born, Mom gave him a copy of Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, but she says he never read it. And about 4 years later, still in his 60s, he died of bone cancer. His death was a consequence of an emerging disconnect between our species and the living world, an accelerating imbalance. And so, a half century later, I'd find myself living in Bali and contemplating this downward spiral while in the mud with rice farmers there. I've been listening to their stories now for about a decade, and this is what I hear them say. Chemicals are killing everything. Our food culture is being eroded. And our youth, well, they're nowhere to be found. We've lost our faith in the land to sustain them with good livelihoods. What I hear them say is that rice farming as we know it has reached the end of its line. So it's an utter miracle to me that these past few years of listening intently and caring deeply would lead me here today before you all. And I'd like to thank you for seeing the potential in Astungkara Way and for casting your votes to bring us to this point today. And I hope that you've understood by now that the very essence of our work is really around healing broken relationships on our wounded planet. Between farmers and their ancestral knowledge, youth and their land, and between we humans and the food that we eat. So while our approach is absolutely driven by data and backed by science, it is at its core holistic and inclusive. Selecting Astungkara Way for this year's prize will not be an investment in yet another technological innovation. What it will be is a vote to enrich life in soil and to enrich the lives of countless smallholder farmers and their communities. Astungkara Way represents a sort of homecoming for humanity, a return to symbiotic relationships with the ecosystems that sustain us, a time to acknowledge that there is no greater technology on the planet than nature herself, and a time to embrace her potential to bring us back to a place of balance. So that was my speech. That's what I said. Thank you. Unfortunately, we did not win the $2 million prize. Um, yeah, Astunkara. Um, so I guess I'll tell you a little bit of the story that brought me to that point of actually being able to make that speech in such an illustrious place to people like that. The most recent chapter of my life has involved the discovery of my life's purpose and my calling. The catalyst came in the strange form of a TED Talk called My Green School Dream by John Hardy. Anybody seen it? Yeah? A few green schoolers out there. I watched it past midnight on a dark, cold, rainy night in Vancouver, Canada, back in November 2010. It was an impossibly beautiful vision of a school made entirely of bamboo, soaked in sunshine, and the smiles of Balinese children playing and learning alongside international kids. I signed our kids up while my wife was sleeping next to me, and I asked her and the kids in the morning if we could move to Bali. Fortunately, they said yes, and we arrived in Bali about 7 months later. Day one at green school, however, wasn't a realization of a dream for me. It was a hard hit of disillusionment, got to be honest. The disconnect I witnessed on arrival between international and local, it really was jarring, and it left me wondering what I'd done if I'd made a disastrous decision moving our family to the other side of the world to an unrealized green school dream. But the decision was already made, and there we were. So, against the odds, with no plans or resources to speak of, I initiated a project to bridge the local and international communities. It was a labor of love, and we called it Cool Cool Connection. Balinese kids flooded onto campus after school and got active in learning and innovating for sustainability. I was meant to be working as the head of admissions at the time at Green School, but before long, all of my time, energy, and passion was channeled into Cool Cool Connection. Fortunately, John Hardy liked it, and pretty soon I found myself leading a team of young Indonesian professionals as idealistic and in love with our mission as me. After a few years of enjoying the success of Cool Cool Connection, I realized that the traffic on the bridge that we'd created was all one way. Balinese kids were coming to green school in great numbers, but why weren't international people more intrigued about the models for sustainability that were living all around us, especially in the rice paddies? So I started connecting international green school parents with local rice farmers. We initiated the rice cycle course, and once a week, we'd get into the mud with rice farmers for a couple of hours to see Bali through their eyes. Then we'd spend an hour sitting with them, learning about their reality and their challenges. This connection with Balinese farmers on their ancestral land moved me to my core, and it was this calling that came to me as clear as a bell. Then the pandemic came, and my youngest son graduated from green school, a good friend of Bandana's, and our Cool Cool Connection team, including me, were all out of work. I couldn't just walk away from the connections we'd established with the farming community, so I invited half of our team to keep doing the work with me. And so Astungkara Way was born. I think we have some Balinese people in the house. Astungkara means hope. It's a Balinese prayer, and it expresses hope in such a beautiful way, like God willing or inshallah. So that's what we do. We're cultivators of hope. Our work involves the creation of scalable models for regenerative travel and regenerative farming. We connect humans with nature and get them closer to the source of their food. We've charted Bali's first coast-to-coast pilgrimage trail on the theme of regeneration, and we work with a growing number of rice farmers to support their transition to farming in harmony with nature. We've got hundreds on board now, but in the coming years, we need hundreds of thousands to join us. Our goals are audacious, but something in my heart of hearts tells me that we're going to hit them. In fact, we have to, don't we? Everyone has unique strengths, of course, and I'm sure I must have some of those strengths too, but what has always been most evident to me on my hero's journey is my weaknesses. For much of my life, I've beat myself up for being too meek, too introverted, too sensitive, too emotional. But it's funny, if I reflect on what has enabled me to bring these dreams to fruition, to engage with people as a leader in this Bali chapter of my life, it has had nothing to do with charisma, a keen intellect, or a highly developed expertise. To be honest, I have none of those attributes, or at least little to none. I'm beginning to realize that it's actually been my perceived weaknesses that have enabled me to bring my idealistic dreams to fruition here. And at the ripe age of 56, almost 57, I'm learning to be more comfortable in my own skin and more conscious of the depth of potential I possess to bring love into the world through the work I do. Indeed, this is not a business as usual moment in the history of our species. It's an all hands on deck moment, isn't it? Maybe it's time we each embrace our capacity to care fully and channel our gratitude and love for this planet into action en masse. Let's walk this Astungkara Way together. Thanks for hearing my voice. Thank you, Mandela.
It's a beautiful, beautiful story. But can I ask you one question before you leave? Um, because he does this coast to coast. It's called the coast to coast pilgrimage. Literally, you're going from one coast of Bali to the other coast of Bali. You're stopping along the way. You're literally witnessing the agricultural ecology, the cultural ecology as you're walking past. Because you've taken so many people on this pilgrimage, what do you see? Do you see people turning around with a sense of emotional attachment to the land because they've done that pilgrimage? Or do they just treat it as another sort of a touristic experience?
No, I mean it's not. It's a truly unique experience. And I mean the word transformational has become cliche, but I think when we reflect, I mean a lot of you I'm sure have lived in Bali for a long time, and we've had a lot of people join us who have been in Bali, living in Bali for even decades, and have walked with us and said, "My God, I've never actually been with Balinese people in their place." So to see their reality and the world through their lens, and to be inspired by simple ways of living close to nature and the source of our food, this is something we all need now.
So, just to end this off, it's like when we say walk the talk, you can literally join the walk that he does, the pilgrimage that's from coast to coast, and experiencing the agrarian culture that has everything, the storytelling, the myths, the symbolism, worship of nature, the reliance on nature. I mean, I can go on and on, stop me. So basically, my point is we should all do that coast to coast pilgrimage that he orchestrates, right?
Our team orchestrates. I'm just in the background. Astungkara. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brendan.